Oh, we're live.
Yes, we are.
So isn't Victoria the one that usually goes first?
She can't come. She's
No.
having internet problems, so she won't be able to do whatever.
I'll go first.
Okay.
It's really stupid, but okay. Today I'm going to talk to you guys all about taking care of turtles in the proper way. At the end of my speech, my audience will be able to successfully keep turtles healthy as possible. There are many ways to keep your turtles clean and healthy and away from bacteria, but the ways that I have found most successful are by using the proper lighting and heating, cleaning the habitat regularly, and using the appropriate food. I myself own 4 aquatic turtles, a yellow-bellied slider, a red-eared slider, and 2 baby musk turtles. I have had them for about 2 years, and keeping them alive is like the most important thing to me right now. For lighting, turtles need about 10 to 12 hours of full spectrum lighting. The best way to provide this light is with UVB bulbs such as the Reptisun, which is a 10 UVB bulb. This is according to the Petco care sheet. Incandescent bulbs are a great way for primary heat sources as well as required for their basking. I use incandescent bulb as well as this dock to keep them hot and all that. Ceramic heaters can also be used to keep them nicely heated, as well as keeping them at 95 degrees Fahrenheit in the basking area only. You want to keep them at 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the water, and their water needs to be at a great height according to the turtle's width. As well as heating, you need to keep their habitats clean. Habitats are important to the turtles' overall health according to PetStation.com. Filters are a great way to keep them clean and spotless without having to take out the water and scrub it clean every single day. As turtles drink from the water they swim in, and it is very important to keep it clean and not have any of their waste swimming around, as well as leftover foods. The swimming area, like I said, must be as deep as the turtle is wide, as turtles can get stuck if they dive off the diving and get stuck on their side and then they'll drown. It happened to mine once and it was like scary. And the water should be changed at least once a week, even if you are using filters, as the filters don't always get everything that needs to be done. Of course, you need to make sure your turtle is eating what they need to be eating. I have tried many different things, like Reptimun, which is what I'm using now, and it seems to be the best. It is a floating stick that has essential vitamins, and what I have learned that they cannot eat iceberg lettuce. This has no nutritional value as it is mostly water, and you can use romaine lettuce, you can feed them blueberries, strawberries, bananas, but do not feed them lettuce that is iceberg. They can also eat chicken and turkey and tuna, but it has to be cooked. You cannot give them raw meat. And goldfish and feeder fish are also fun for them to eat, as they provide a chase and it gives them a bit of their home life. And as turtles grow older, they tend to enjoy fruits and vegetables, but when they're younger, they tend to be more carnivorous. While love and affection is important in caring for anything, I understand that, but it is imperative that you provide the right light and heat sources, make sure their habitat is spotless, and are feeding them the right foods. This may seem difficult and expensive. It's very expensive. I put like $600 into my turtles alone. But nothing is more enjoyable than watching them swim around and lay down. And mine, when they lay down, they kick their little feet up, and it is the cutest thing when they're sitting under the little heat lamp. And I mean, that's the best feeling in the world, to know that you can take care of something that was once this small and is now this big. And you did it in the right and correct ways. Thank you.
Who's next?
I'll volunteer.
All right. And then I'll go after you.
Okay. All right. So, one of the most talked about and sensitive topics that we all talk about throughout our lifetime is abortion. If you think about it, I'm sure that all of us here have actually had this conversation, yet it's such a delicate subject that it's almost become taboo. Um, Now, it is a passionate, I'm sorry, everybody's passionate about the subject, no matter what side of the argument you're on, either pro-life or pro-choice. Now, you have to wonder why it has become so taboo. My guess or my theory is because of generalization of the actual words or or the terms used and education. So maybe we should stop generalizing so much about the terms pro-life and pro-choice and add it to it. Basically, learn about the procedures, different methods, hence the procedure that I want to talk about today, which is called dilation and extraction. Most of us know it as partial birth abortion. Again, I just want to warn everybody about the display I'm going to put in a second. Let me start off by explaining that partial birth abortion is not really a medical term, it's more of a political term. It was actually used more to reach the masses. Partial birth abortion is actually removing the fetus by putting the entire body through the birth canal. How do you do so? Doctors dilate the cervix of a woman, pulling out the baby through his feet. Now let me show you. Okay. So basically, if you can see here, very small. Okay, it starts off by dilating the woman's cervix. The doctor then grabs the fetus's feet or the legs, pulls out the whole body, basically delivering the whole baby until the end of the neck is showing the top of the head or the bottom of the head, at which point he usually uses scissors to actually puncture the bottom of the neck, I'm sorry, the top of the neck, the bottom of the head, then opens them up to open up the hole a little bit more, and then actually with a vacuum vacuums out the brain, or usually crushes the skull to be able to take out the fetus. Now, there have been cases where this has been necessary to do. Now, which brings me up to the medical advantages and disadvantages. And shockingly enough, there are none. We don't have substantial statistics to show that it's advantageous or disadvantageous to actually do this procedure. So then you actually have to think about what's the necessity for it. So which brings me up to the next topic, the medical necessity of it. Yes, it has been proved to actually save women's life in the third trimester, but there has always been another alternative method. And I'm sorry if this hits home for some of you. Again, it's a procedure that has another alternative always. For example, another one is actually, instead of basically stabbing the fetus, you could actually give the fetus a fatal injection, which supposedly doesn't hurt the baby inside, and then you're able to dilate the woman and actually give a birth to a deceased fetus, or surgically remove the body. Now, doctors have overwhelmingly agreed that this procedure has been done mostly as an elective procedure, and more in, sorry to say this, as a cleaner method of abortion in the third trimester, because there's no dismemberment of a body, therefore cleaning out the uterus in one swift action, basically. So if you consider it and you take out all the politics of banning partial birth abortion and look at the actual procedure and its medical advantages, disadvantages, the necessity of it, in either case, if you have to go through an abortion or just an elective method, of course, it's all of our choices. Now, if you have to go through it, then let's try to do the most humanely procedure possible. Realistically, we all dislike abortions. Nobody does it for fun. The reasons behind why we have abortions, it's actually what separates us in the argument. So we could only hope that we become more informed about it, therefore, and generalize less, resulting in less sensitivity about the subject. And next time that they ask you if you're pro-life or pro-health, like myself, I'm informing myself more. You could actually say, I am either pro-life or pro-choice, with the exception of certain procedures or certain cases. And thank you.
Good evening, everyone. At the end of my speech, I want my listeners to have resources and tools to enable them to obtain career-related work experience while you're in college. Now, I'm just kind of curious if you guys can just kind of raise your hand. How many of you guys actually have a job right now that's related to the degree that you're pursuing? Oh, so one person. Okay, now you guys may not be aware of this, but there was a recent study done in California State University that said work experience is now becoming very, very crucial when employers look at resumes and they decide who it is that they want to hire. So I want to inform you guys and give you kind of some tools and some resources on how do I get career-related job experience while I'm in college. Now, I'm considered a non-traditional student in the sense that my background is 15 years of real estate work, and I decided about 3 years ago to go back to college to do my dream job, which is in human services. So I was very fortunate. I was able to meet a psychologist, and she sat down with me, and she gave me 3 tools or resources to use to get career-related job experience while I'm in college. So 3 of the things, obviously, you want to have a great resume. Number 2, you want to utilize any volunteer resources. And I want to talk real quickly about internship. Number 1, obviously, your resume. We all know that that's important. That's basically your calling card. That's the first thing that an employer is going to look at. The challenge for college students and high school students is a lot of them, they don't have any work experience. So what do you put on a resume? You want to focus on the summary section of your resume. So you want to make sure that you've listed any of your after-school activities, any awards that you got in college, and also any certifications. If you're going into nursing or if you're going into the medical field, and if you have CPR certification, that's great to put on your resume also. I was going to use the Palm Beach State website, but I can just tell you how to get there. The Palm Beach State College website has the Career Center, and they can help you with your resume. I actually utilized that resource. I uploaded my resume. They revised it for me, and they actually helped me get volunteer work through the Career Center. So if you click on Palm Beach State College, if you click on Student Services, and then you click on Career Center, you can actually upload your resume, and they'll revise it for you. That goes into my second tool that you want to utilize, and that's volunteering. That's very important. Why is it important? Obviously, it's an easy way to get job experience without being paid, but it's an easy way to do that. Also, you might meet potential employers, and it's a great way of networking in your community. So the Career Center at Palm Beach State College is also very good for that. You can go to the website in Palm Beach County, just put in volunteer opportunities. It'll list many organizations in Palm Beach State. Palm Beach County that's looking for volunteers. Also, you can put Broward County volunteer opportunities, and they'll also list a lot of resources. And then lastly, internship. And I was going to pull up my chart, but it's not working. And this is very, very important if you can, for those of you that can sort of see this. This was a study, and you can see that the numbers here is probably backwards, but this was a study that was actually done with the National Association of Careers and Employers, and this right here is 63.1% of paid interns were actually offered work when they left college. 37% of unpaid interns were offered work, and then 35% of people who did no internship was offered work. So you see there 61% of students coming out of college, and they worked with an internship. You have a higher probability of getting employment. Now, where can you get paid internship? If you go to internmatch.com, they will show you all of the organizations in Florida that's offering internships. So that's a great tool also. So here's the bottom line, and I know you guys can relate to this. You've spent many years and you've invested thousands of dollars in your college education, and it would be very frustrating to get out of college and you can't get employment. So according to the Economic Policy Institute of 2014, 8.5% of 2014 college graduates were unemployed. Now that may not seem like a big number to you, but 16.8% of college graduates were underemployed. So what that means, they got out of college, got their degree, they got a job, but it has nothing to do with the degree that they were pursuing. So I believe if you utilize the 3 tools that I gave you, which is make sure you have a great resume, utilize volunteer opportunities, and invest in working on a paid internship, this will definitely enhance your probability of being employable when you finish college. Thank you, and good luck to all of you.
It's not me and you, Haya. Should I go?
That's up to you.
You might as well. Are you okay with going last?
Yeah, as long as this thing doesn't turn off on me, but it's not going to, so I'm not going to jinx myself.
Alrighty. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about tuberculosis. I'm going to just throw out a statistics out there to show you how prevalent it is still in our society. Did you know that 10 to 20% of Americans test positive for tuberculosis on a daily basis? That's a pretty high number for something that people don't consider to be a danger in our day and age. Tuberculosis is a pretty dangerous disease that most people don't realize is still very prevalent in our society. Not as much in our country, but other countries it is very prevalent. I would like to say that I can speak about this disease because I worked at, or I volunteered at A.G. Hawley State Hospital, which was in Lantana, a hospital that specialized in treating patients with tuberculosis. My mother worked there. That's how I started volunteering. I have 500 hours under my belt of volunteering there, and I attended seminars and shadowed doctors and helped patients, so I feel like I have enough knowledge to speak about the subject. Tuberculosis is thought to be a disease that's eradicated at the time, but in reality, I think people need more information on how easily it can be contracted, how much of an epidemic it is still to this day and age, and how the disease can affect so many individuals and in a large-scale society. So first off, I'm going to speak to you guys about how you can contract tuberculosis. Most people aren't aware of the signs, and that causes problems because, you know, you could be in a room with a person with tuberculosis and not know it, so you can catch it. So signs of people with tuberculosis would be people coughing, especially if they're coughing up blood or thick mucus-like sputum. If they have night sweats, that's more of if you have a family member. They lose weight very rapidly. I saw patients who lost 50 pounds within a month, which is a pretty severe amount of weight to lose. There is also very high fevers that causes the night sweats. Overall, these signs are very important to know because it will lead you to be able to prevent getting sick. It's not that easy to catch if you do prevent. Good ways to prevent is washing your hands, making sure you know the signs, avoiding risky areas such as homeless people, people with low incomes, going out of the country. Obviously, you can't avoid these things, but the best thing to do is take precautions if you do go into those situations, such as getting tested as often as possible. Obviously, you can't get tested all the time, but, you know, whatever the required regimen is. Prevention is really the key to not catching this disease, and catching it at an early stage is very substantial to making sure that you don't get sick. People with weak immune systems, such as having HIV, hepatitis, or other severe diseases like this, have a bigger chance of catching this disease. Most of the patients that I worked with at A.G. Holly had other diseases like this, like HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, which caused them to contract it. They also contracted it in many other ways, such as being homeless, drug abuse, so they shared needles, so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what tuberculosis does to your lungs. It is a bit of a gruesome picture. First off, I have just a clip art, which isn't too bad, but then I am going to show you one that is more gruesome. So first off, I have this picture. This top picture over here shows you a little white dot. That's the tuberculosis starting off. And then this other picture shows you the microbes eating away at the lung tissue. And this one's full-blown, so therefore it's already made large holes. This causes problems for breathing, and eventually usually is the cause of patients' deaths. This is a realistic picture of what that looks like. As you can see up here, there is missing lung tissue, and there are smaller areas throughout. So I'm going to talk about the current epidemic of the other countries that we have, or other countries such as Africa and Asia, who have a very high tuberculosis rate. I've read from the CDC that about 1 in 4 people can actually have tuberculosis in a lot of these countries. Continents also. I meant continents. Oops. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this documentary I saw on PBS, which through Frontline, which is one of my favorite TV series to follow. You should definitely follow it. And it followed various villages throughout Africa and them having tuberculosis, and how easily people spread it because they didn't have the medical attention needed. They didn't have the drugs needed to treat it. They also didn't know how it was spread, so they would stay in the same villages with people who were infected and interact with them on a daily basis. So therefore, they were getting more people were contracting the disease and having a larger mortality rate. This was kind of a sad documentary to watch, but it was a big eye-opener to see that so many people died of something that's actually pretty easily treatable with the right medicines, which is a cocktail of different antibiotics. I'm also going to go a little bit closer to us. In 2012, in northern Florida, there was actually a big tuberculosis outbreak. About 3,000 people were thought to have tuberculosis, which, yes, in comparison to the total population in Florida, is not that big, but with a disease that's so easily transmittable, if the person doesn't know they have it or other people don't know they have it, it was kind of a big deal. Unfortunately, this happened shortly after our governor, Charlie Crist, decided to close down A.G. Holly State Hospital because he thought that there was no need for a hospital who treated and eradicated disease, which we obviously don't know it's not true. In reality, tuberculosis has been around pretty much since mankind has been around. It has been found also in a lot of different animals, such as bison. During 460 BC, tuberculosis was thought to be the largest disease to be killing people and just overall infecting people, which is kind of scary, and it also has reoccurred in pandemics very often. At the end of the 19th century and the 20th century, we also had a big outbreak because of the urbanization of different countries, which caused major panic throughout many countries because so many people were dying. It was said that 1 in 4 deaths in the whole world was considered to be tuberculosis to the death. Overall, this disease is very dangerous, and it affects on a larger scale very often, but also it hits home with a lot of people. Patients have families. Patients suffer a lot going through this. They need that support. They need the help. They have to constantly take medicines that make them feel very sick. The disease makes them feel sick. I personally had a tough time at first working at AG or volunteering at AG Holly because I saw patients so debilitated. But it was really nice to see that in a couple months, within a 6 to 18-month treatment, they started feeling better and they were able to go back to their regular lives, especially since the hospital helped them find jobs, find housing, so on and so forth. This disease is also something that if it's not caught in time and it starts spreading, it's not a good thing because it's very hard to contain. Most people aren't aware of the signs, as now you guys are, which is a great thing. On the last subject I'm going to talk about is something called multiple drug resistance, which is another topic that I thought about doing my informative speech on, but I just decided against it. Is actually what multiple drug resistance means is the disease creates a resistance to a specific drug. So in terms of tuberculosis, the tuberculosis bacterium becomes resistant to different antibiotics, making it harder for doctors to treat it because there's only like a certain amount of antibiotics they can use. I actually knew a patient at A.G. Holly who had pretty much become resistant to all antibiotics, and they actually had to bring in a FDA unapproved antibiotic just to see if it would work, because if not he was going to die, and it actually did work, which is great for him. This is actually a really big problem in the medical community, so something to also watch out for. Just being in hospitals have this a lot nowadays, and it's very scary. Knowing how the disease is contracted is important, but overall, you should just be aware of it in general. I just ask for you guys to keep an eye out because, yes, it's not that prevalent in our country, but it is important to not catch it if possible, because you never know if you'll be in a situation where somebody around you might have it. Yes, it is thought to be eradicated, but in reality, it is out there, and just as much as we say, we're not going to get hit by a bus tomorrow, you never really know. So it's good to be aware. I'm going to finish off by stating a quote by Dr. Merman, who's the director of the National Center for HIV/AIDS, Viral Hepatitis, STD, and TB Prevention. He said, "TB can happen anywhere, in any community. Exposure can happen in the school, at work, at home, while traveling, or anywhere that people are close to contact with one another. This is why TB prevention is a public health priority for the nation." Thank you.
Well, that was really nice. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. It's kind
Yes, sorry, my mute thing was on. I said thank you.
Okay. Oddly enough, my speech is also going to be about resumes, which is ironic. It's just weird. But I'm going to go more in detail about how to make one. So maybe it's not very similar to yours, hopefully. Okay. So last semester, I was lucky enough to run into a scientist that I really hoped to work for in the future. Our conversation went very smoothly, and things seemed very promising, all up until the discussion led up to talking about my credentials. At that point in my career, I knew that I built a strong list of skills, but I was so starstruck that I didn't know what to say. So where was the resume when I needed one? So let's face it, job hunting is probably going to be one of the most nerve-wracking events that we are going to have to go through in our life, especially if you've never had a job before. So why not ease that stress and learn how to properly create one of the most important things to have with you during that time, which is a resume. As a student who is currently searching for an internship position at a leading biotechnology company, I spent some valuable time with professional career advisors who helped me learn how to put together a good functional resume. I was also lucky enough to get some professional advice from a manager at a local company here called Ocean Ridge Biosciences, who shared with me some of the more important aspects of a resume that are sure to make an individual stand out from the rest. So I want to share the information that I've gained from my experiences to educate you on what a functional resume is and how important this tool is for securing a job position. I'll be going through some of the steps of putting together a professional resume that is sure to wow your future employer, and I want to go over some simple rules that will allow you to present yourself as professionally as possible. So first of all, what is a functional resume? A functional resume is basically a one-page document that functions to highlight your skills and is usually used by people who are seeking career changes. And so why is this document important? This is going to be your #1 tool when you're doing your job research. So just as companies use TV or magazine or radio ads to sell their product, this document is going to be your personal form of advertisement. This is what your employer is going to use to determine whether or not you are a good fit for the position you're applying for. So now that you understand what a functional resume is and its significance, let's start looking at how to put one together. So by stating your name and your contact information. And by that I mean you have to include your full name, meaning your first and your last name. If you have a common name like Juan Rodriguez, then I suggest maybe you would add your middle initial as well, so you can differentiate between the two people. Oh, sorry. And along with that, you need your full address, which is your house or apartment number, your street name, your city, your state, and then a working phone number, because after all, you do want to find out whether or not you get that job position. And then a professional email address. Obviously, you should really avoid personal email addresses like beachbabe101@yahoo.com or skaterdude@aol.com, because you do want to present yourself professionally. Next, you have to state your objective. What job position are you applying for, and what are your long-term employment goals? Why do you want this job? You need to at least list one bullet point, but if you have to, that's even better. So Juan obviously wants an internship position at Scripps, and he's hoping that this would become a full-time career. And from there, he's hoping that the skills he gained from the internship is going to help him get admitted into a PhD program. So following that, you need to list your educational background. So start with your most recent school that you've attended, and then you include the degree that you're either working on right now or that you've already gained, and the years that you attended. If you have any relevant skills, or sorry, any relevant courses that you took during school that could maybe show your employer that you do have the knowledge and qualifications for the position, then definitely put it down. So here Juan has listed the schools that he's going to. He graduated and then he felt was most important to him, and one of the most important courses to show the employer that he is very qualified for the position that he's applying for. So here's where you really need what you can company. What can you bring to the table? Show off what you know, and it might just completely set you apart from your competitors. So here Juan listed some of the lab techniques that he learned at PBSC, for example. Now, next, after you list your skills, you need to put in your work experience, any relevant work experience. So in this case, he's looking for a position in science, then he needs to put down a position in science. But for example, if you were looking for, if you're applying for a job and say like a bank, then you need to include that any work experience that you previously had in bank or accounting or something like that. So If you don't have any work experience, then maybe you should list any professional development experiences, which in this case would be, for example, internship positions. So here, the relevant work experience that Juan has is that he was a student instructor at Palm Beach State, where he practiced his knowledge by basically tutoring the students in the program. So while academics are great, it helps to show your employer that you are a well-rounded person. So after your work experience, you can list any extracurricular activities, like any clubs or organizations that you are active in, and any community service that you do. So Juan is an officer in the Biotechnology Association at Palm Beach State. Obviously, he listed the years that he's been a member, and he listed his duties in the club. And as well, along with that, he listed a pet shelter or an animal rescue shelter that he volunteered at. And there as well, he listed the years that he's volunteered there and the duties that he has while he's volunteering. There you go. All right, so last but not least, you should definitely prepare a list. So all you have to do is name your reference, their professional job position or their relation to you, their work address, their office or personal phone number, and a professional email address to contact them with. Now, there's a very huge disclaimer here that I really think you should be aware of. You really need to be careful who you decide to choose as a reference, because they can be very influential, and that can sometimes be negative influences that can completely compromise your chances of getting the job. So don't just list people on your references without their permission. Make sure you ask first. And it's probably a good idea to choose someone who knows you personally. It may be a teacher or a previous employer, anyone who's worked closely with you and knows you personally. But don't list family members. So I just want to finish this off by giving some really quick do's and don'ts when you're creating your and try to avoid childish fonts like Comic Sans or cursive. Don't use outrageous colors like yellows and purples and magentas when you're creating your resume. It is, though, acceptable to have like colored borders on your resume, or you can have your headings in a different color other than black, but choose colors like navy blue or maroon. Such colors are likely to make your resume what I like to call conservatively distinctive, and are likely to catch your employer's eye. And then I think this is the most important one on this list is definitely do read and reread your resume over and over again. Grammar and punctuation is very important because you are representing yourself as professionally as possible. So make sure you have a few friends, because sometimes a fresh pair of eyes might do you good favor. Now, where am I? Oh, there I am. So in conclusion, resumes are the most important advertisement tools during your job hunt. It is important that you do understand the function and significance of a resume, and that you understand the simple steps of putting one together, as well as the vital do's and don'ts that are more than likely going to set you apart from your competitors. So remember that you are selling yourself, so have one ready to present yourself with utmost professionalism.
All right, are we good?
We're good.
Okay. I will see y'all later. I'm going out to eat. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.